Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts, presented by LaBear's Casino. Ronnie Rance alongside TK, Tommy Chrysan. We're presented today by Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. You can check on by Tremonti's. TK will be over there on Friday. Tommy, a lot to get to today in the world of sports, man. First off, LSU sports are right in our backyard here and you're in Baton Rouge. I'm actually in Lake Charles today. A lot to get to as far as Verge Osbury named the athletic director, Wade Roos named the president, Mr. Dalton named the chancellor. So, I first off, a couple of thoughts. One, Wade Roos being the president of the LSU system's the worst kept secret. That's been rumored for weeks and weeks and weeks. We know that the governor wanted that. Board of Supervisors voted almost unanimously, had one person vote against, but so he now leaves McNeese, comes over and is the head of the LSU system. In 2012, they merged the chancellor and the president's role into one. Now they're going to separate it back to where it was. Wade's over the system, but he'll also be over the athletic department. That's very important when we get to this next part of the story. Dalton leaves Alabama, comes over to University of Alabama, comes over to LSU and will serve in the chancellor and over all of the academic side and the studies and everything like that. So that's good. I think the academic people are going to be happy with their leadership. The athletic people are going to be happy with their leadership. But we expected that, hey, we would name the president yesterday. About 4 or 5 days ago, I was told about the two-headed monster thing. Glad that actually came to fruition. But then the surprise was that right after, hours after being named president, that Verge Osbury had the temporary tag taken off of his AD duties and the permanent tag put on. That was a surprise. And to me, that screams of, you know, it screams of a couple of things. One, Verge has always had a great relationship with the Board of Supervisors. He's sort of been the go-between with the athletic department and the Board of Supervisors. He had a lot of support with the Board of Supervisors, particularly, the Black Caucus sort of angle, which came into play in this. And also, it screams that the president, Wade Roos, is going to be really the guy over the financial side of things. I think you're going to see him be the financial guy, approving budgets, making sure that they try to make money and that kind of thing. And you will see Verge be involved with coaches and this coaches search and kind of ramping up maybe with his duties now, but at the same time, I think you're going to see Wade have to be very hands-on as the president in his position. But it was a surprise, and I think Verge is saying, hey, look, I can get you a good football coach. I got a relationship with Marcus Freeman. I'll take a run at that. Also, football coaches are going to want to play for football guys. I'm a football guy. I can help I can help identify and work with whoever the next football coach is.
I agree completely. When they took the tag off of Verge, I started thinking, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, obviously he bleeds purple and gold. He played football here. He's been around, so he kind of knows the ropes. And he kind of knows where certain things happen, when to talk, when to be quiet. I think that's good. Now, I think it's good having a Louisiana person in there. You don't have to be a Louisiana person. Dale Brown was from North Dakota. Skip Bertman's from Michigan, then to Miami. Nick Saban had never been to Baton Rouge when he got out. So you don't have to be Louisiana. But I think being Louisiana and with the alignment, I know that's a buzzword that they have now with the president, the chancellor, the AD. I think that speaks well. And I like the fact that Roos is considered a business guy. His business background, and he did real good things financially at McNeese. There's no question about that. It's documented. And he did a lot of good things over there. So I think it's all good. Time will tell, but I think it's all good. And then, of course, and then Verge was on Matt Moscona's show and said, hey, if we got to wait till after the portal's open to get the right coach, we'll wait. Now, I don't know if that's just AD talk, but certainly he's working very hard on that and going to get it figured out. And, I'd be curious to see how that flows. I was at an AD's meeting last spring, and Verge was the speaker. You know, it was a Louisiana high school AD's meeting, and I'm in that due to being a middle school AD. And he was very impressive that day. A lot of people who didn't really know who Verge was, of course, I've known Verge forever, came to me after, man, that dude's pretty sharp. I said, well, he's been sharp for a long time. So we'll see how it works.
Yeah, look, as far as the coaching search goes, and that's what a lot of what Verge is going to be judged on now, because you pretty much, like I said, have Wade Roos. I think is going to handle the financial side primarily, and oversee that. Uh, so he's going to be based on, just like Scott Woodward was based on, wins and losses on the football field is largely what cost him his job. I mean, a lot of the things what Woodward did was fantastic, but because they lost on the football field, he's out. And I think Verge is going to be in that same role as most ads are. The thing that if I'm if I'm LSU is, yeah, there's no value, Tommy, in rushing and thinking, oh my gosh, we got to get a football coach by December, 5th or whatever, because we got to hit the portal and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you wait another month, you might have been able to get the better option, or the proven option, right? I got to say that I think that outside of Marcus Freeman and outside of Lane Kiffin, does it matter? Those are the two mega names, right? Those are the two, superstar coaches in most people's eyes, Freeman and Kiffin. Um, Day's not going anywhere at Ohio State. Georgia's not losing Kirby Smart. So, you get that. So if you're wanting Freeman or Kiffin, you're going to have to wait till their season's over with. It's just plain and simple as that. Now, if you get told with no uncertain terms that, hey man, thanks for the offer, but I'm not interested, I'm not going anywhere, I've thought about it, but man, I don't want to, I'm good where I'm at. And if you believe that you got no shot, and then okay, fine, then you pivot to the next group of coaches. But I think Verge is going to go big game hunting like his predecessor, and he thinks he can go get Kiffin or Marcus Freeman, and he's going to give that everything he's got.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the decision won't be made solely by Burge, and Roos, the president, the Roos is going to have input. He's now on the committee with Ben Bordelon and Carmouche and the other people. So we'll see how it goes. I'm like you. You got to try to find the best fit, and if that means you got to wait till January 10th, so be it. If you find what you believe the best fit by December 5th, Eli Drinkwitz or Jeff Brom and all these names, and Ronnie, we know these first three or four names you hear in every major coach search is usually not the one that gets the job. Okay, Saban's name was nowhere in the list. Nobody talked about it until his wife ate at TJ Ribs and paid with her credit card, and then some people put it together that he might be on the list. But I think it's very important hire because LSU standards of football are high. As Verge said the other day, they should be in a 12-team playoff every year. And maybe that once in 5 years you don't make it because you had a bunch of injuries or something. So it's going to be a very, very important hire for a lot of reasons.
You look at the rankings for the playoffs. They came out. The first one came out yesterday, and four SEC teams are in it. Alabama is one of the top four, and then after that, you got Georgia,
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, and
Well, A&M's
and
three.
A
So
and
three,
M.
four, five, and six are
Yeah,
all
A
SEC
and M
teams.
and Alabama are 3 and 4, and then you got Georgia and Ole Miss. Um, if you look at it from that perspective, Tommy, and look, obviously this isn't the final tally. Some of the, unfortunately for the SEC, their schedules are so tough they're going to beat up on each other, and potentially one of those maybe even drops out. But if you're talking about 3 or 4 teams ending up in the playoffs, LSU, there's 16 teams in the league. 4 teams is 25%. My Menard High math got me that. LSU feels like it should be in the top 25% of the SEC, just about damn near year in and year out, right? Like you said. And so for them to be not anywhere near the top 25% this year is super disappointing. And that's why you have a coaching change. That's why you have an AD change. But look, if four teams from the SEC are going to get into the final 12, and that's probably a pretty accurate number. That most likely most years that's going to happen, where four are going to get in, maybe even five, but four for sure. LSU feels like it should be fourth or fifth at minimum each and every year.
Well, I agree, and especially other than Alabama, nobody's got more national championships in the last 25 years in football than LSU. So you look at the bar that's been set, the standards, the expectation of the fan base, and the LSU brand, the LSU fans all over the country, all over the world. That's what you want. You don't want 5-3 and going to Bama as a 9.5 point dog this Saturday night, and not a lot of people think they can win that game. Frank Wilson thinks they're going to win, and the guys in the locker room thinks they're going to win. But it's a pivotal time for LSU football and LSU athletics.
So speaking of that LSU Alabama game and 9.5 point line, again, the line has jumped all around. Started out 5.5, went to 14, and back down to 9.5. Um, I don't know, man. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the punch, but there's a lot of value in 2 weeks of rest, especially for your quarterback who needs to get healthy, and a new offensive coordinator that's going to bring some new wrinkles to the table and some new plays and formations and things that they don't have on tape this year. And so that is going to be an opportunity to catch Alabama off guard a little bit, and I'm excited about that because the offense needs some sort of juice. And look, this is an Alabama team that's been underwhelming at times. First game of the year, getting blown out by Florida State, who's proven not to be a great team, and has survived and advanced like a lot of teams nowadays. Survive and advance. Not the style points aren't there like they used to be. So I think this Alabama team isn't as intimidating as it's been in the past. You don't have that guy on the sidelines to worry about, and they're not dominating opponents like they used to. So I think LSU's going in there with some newfound confidence, obviously rested, and a couple of new plays up their sleeve.
Well, LSU can't run the football. Bama struggles to run the football. They don't have the running game they kind of got known for a long time. So, who can make the big plays? Who can force turnovers? All the cliches that you say will be the difference in that game. And I talked to some people last night who think just like you, that LSU might go in there and catch Bama sleepwalking or thinking they got it made because there's a new coach and disarray at the LSU football office, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. They'll line up and play it. It'll be fun to watch, and I will certainly be watching.
All right, so that's what 6:30 this Saturday night.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints, some big news yesterday was the trade deadline, and the New Orleans Saints did move a couple of players. Not as wowing and not as active as some of the other teams in the league. Not as active as probably the Saints should have been. Quite honestly, they still held on to resources that aren't going to pay any dividends in the future. Maybe they just didn't get any offers. But I would have thought Demario Davis would have been gone to somewhere. He still has tremendous value for teams that need a linebacker. That did not happen. But Shaheed is headed to Seattle. That is going to be great for them. They're already one of the best teams in the NFC. They're going to get Shaheed, dynamic punt returner and receiver. You got a fourth and a fifth round pick for him, and then you, Trevor Penning. You traded up, wasted resources to move up to 19 to draft him in 22. Never worked out, and now you get a 6th round draft pick for him. So nice job by the Saints on that one.
Well, the Saints haven't had a good draft in many years. Maybe one or two players that made a difference, but rebuild. What people hate that word, but that's clearly where the Saints are. The two worst teams are the Jets and the Saints. The Jets had a fire sale. Did you see the one guy that didn't get traded from the Jets, whining and complaining like, "Why am I still here? I wish they would have traded me." Blah blah blah. But it's gonna be a long time before the Saints are competitive in the NFC South and can use the word playoff when they talk.
Yeah, I mean they it was the Jets made out like a bandit. Now they got rid of some good players. Don't get me wrong. They got rid of a DB. They got rid of Williams, their defensive tackles. They got rid of great players, but they also got 4 first-round picks,
Yeah.
or three. I'm sorry, 3 first-round picks and another pick and 2 players for all that. Right now, there's no guarantee that you're going to get rid of all pros or Pro Bowlers, and that. But here's the thing: when you're 1-7 and you're the Jets and you hadn't had a winning season in 15 years or made the playoffs, I don't know if it's winning season or made the playoffs. Can't remember what, but you've been irrelevant for 15 years. It's not. It's about cutting salary. It's also about, because you're going to pay less to player first round picks and stuff like that, and drafted players, and you're going to have them for cheaper for 3 or 4 years versus if you maintain these Pro Bowlers that are been around a while and they're demanding big monies. They've got big salaries. They're going to want more. And so, and you're also admitting that, hey, look, this isn't, we're not, this is not a quick fix. We need as many players as possible. This is going to take a couple of years. And the Jets are going to have right now, we don't know what else is going to happen, but the Jets are going to have 2 first-round picks in 26, and they're going to have 3 first-round picks in 27. You can make a difference with that, right?
Yes.
New Orleans Saints are not in that same situation. Saints come out of that yesterday with a fourth, fifth, and sixth rounder. That's great. That's something. That's better. But I mean, that's not like, ooh, this is going to lead to turn this thing around. Because what did the Saints do? The Saints used the fifth rounder on Spencer Rattler. That's not going to work out. I mean, we can. I think we can all admit that Spencer Rattler, at best, is a backup quarterback in the NFL. Uh, and the verdict's still out on Tyler Shuck. Not willing to write him off, but the verdict's still out on Tyler Shuck. So um, it's going to be a long time, Tommy, as you mentioned. Like I fully expect season ticket holders this year. You're just doing something on Sundays. Next year, not going to be a whole lot better.
No, it's not going to be no short term fix there. Baseball and basketball you can fix quicker because it's less people, whatever. But Saints fans, it's not going to be fun the next couple of years. I really believe that.
All right, TK. The Pelicans, right next door to the New Orleans Saints, two of the worst franchises in sports. One in the NBA, one in the NFL. The two worst, actually, in both those leagues right now this year. Pelicans did win last night, though, a surprising win. How about this? Pels are down 112-108 in that game with 3:30 something to play. They score 8 straight points, and the Hornets don't score at all in the last 3:30 of that game, and lose 116-112 to the Pelicans. Hard to imagine an NBA team against the Pelicans not scoring in the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's what the Hornets did.
Well, and that's how you end up losing if you're the Hornets and the Pelicans. Their first win of the year, so I guess people are glad about that. But they got a back to back. They got to play in Dallas tonight. The Mavericks are a 7.5 point favorite, but they did get their win. And in the TK Pelican bet plan, I'm now 5-2, and I've already put the bet on the Mavericks for tonight. So I'm 5-2 on the bet all 82 times against the Pelicans. So they did get a win. I guess that's cute. That's nice, but there's not going to be a lot more of those.
And there's not going to be a lot more because Zion Williamson, oh shocker, is out for next few weeks.
Yeah, no, yeah, hamstring thing, and we reevaluated. Well, yesterday they said 7 to 10 days. That guy has missed more games than he's played, and of course, everybody says get rid of him, but his money's guaranteed. You got to hope he can get healthy, but they've been hoping that since the day they drafted him, and it doesn't appear that it's going to work. And unfortunately for sports fans in New Orleans and in Louisiana, the great passion sports fans throughout our state, the Pelicans and the Saints, not going to be any fun for a while.
Yeah, and Zion. Look, fans, if you happen to see Zion Williamson anywhere at a restaurant, on the street, at the game, sitting on the bench, just boo his ass. I mean, let him know. Just tell him, Zion, give the money back. Give some of the money back. Give it to charity. What you're doing is terrible. I mean, because it is. And the worst part about some of these injuries, Tommy, is you question how severe they are. Is the hamstring really pulled? Are there games that he could play that he's not? This has been a question mark of his, and not just of him. This day and age, where these guys are getting paid so much freaking money and so much of it is guaranteed, how do you know if someone is holding out on purpose or not? How do you know if someone could have come back and played tonight, but instead he's not going to come back and play on Saturday because he just doesn't want to risk it because he doesn't care enough?
Well, and some people had looked at the numbers. He tends to miss more when they're not doing well. Like, okay, 'cause a couple years ago when they had an okay season, he didn't miss as many. Somebody dug into all of those
Right.
stats. But, I get you can't play when you're injured. I get that. Okay. But, you know, then you get into the whole load management thing. Like if he wasn't injured, he may have played last night, but wouldn't have played tonight because it was back to back nights, and of course Michael Jordan had a great quote last week about that. He goes, you play basketball for 2.5 or 3 hours. You got 21 other hours to do something else. Play the damn game, is what Jordan said. Because there were many times he played all 82 games during the season, but it was a different world back then. And lots of other guys played 72 or more games back in the day. But that Zion Williamson thing has kind of been a joke. Like when they would announce the announcement on the different media outlets that put, that he was hurt, out, whatever, people putting like, I'm shocked. I would have never imagined. I mean, all the funny comments are rolling in like multiple. I mean, there's people like they, used to be when you heard a guy was hurt, you're like, oh man, that's on. When are we going to get him back? Now it's if Zion's in the lineup, that's the story.
Uh, Tommy, I went to Muncie, Indiana on Monday. Went to go watch the Raging Cajuns take on Ball State in basketball. Uh, uh, and By the way, the under hit. I bet the under 141 and a half. It landed at 139. Got a little too close for comfort. They only scored like 57 points total in the first half. So then all of a sudden, bam, they of course turn it on and make and get crazy down the stretch. But take the under. Look for that one, Tommy. UL is going to play a lot of defense. They can't score. They're going to play a lot of defense, so the under may be the play there, depending on what it is and stuff. I know they play Southeastern at home on Friday as in their opener at the Cajun Dome. New coach came over, assistant coach for the Raging Cajuns from Houston, so that's where they play defense and have those tough practices and all that. And it's the same thing. That's what the Raging Cajuns are going to trap you, in the half court. They might even pick you up a little bit. Impress you when they need to, but I just don't. They only got like one or two people that can naturally score, create. So it's going to be a tough year for them to offensively, but they will get after you defensively. Um, but up there in Muncie, Indiana, Ball State actually played a little over their skis. They weren't expected to shoot the ball very well. They ended up shooting over 40% from three, and I just did enough. It was, I think the Cajuns were up 1 point at halftime. They ended up losing by 9. They pulled away in the last 4 minutes of the game. The Cajuns lost by 9. Um, but tonight, LSU basketball at
Yeah,
home, Tarleton State. Tigers a 17.5 point favorite. Tarleton State's now 0-1. They lost to SMU. Did they get blown out by
yeah,
SMU, Tommy?
by over 20 points.
Okay.
Tarleton State, the Tarleton State Texans, and their color is also purple, so there'll be a lot of purple in the building tonight. And they will take on LSU, who's a big favorite. Matt McMahon. We'll see what he has put together. And it won't be a great measuring stick, but there'll be some questions answered and some things that can be figured out for the LSU men's basketball team with the home opener tonight. So hopefully they can get a nice crowd at the PMAC.
Yeah, and you saw the LSU women
Rolled.
covered and blew out Houston Christian out of the Southland Conference last night at home. Verge Osbury, the new AD, new permanent AD, was at the game. Uh, you know, uh, Kim Mulkey's going to be able to do what Kim Mulkey wants to do. She always does what Kim Mulkey wants to
Yeah.
do. She had showed her dislike for the Scott Woodward firing by not showing up to the press conference after her initial preseason game. But I think her relationship with Verge, she's going to be somewhat fine with that. Um, as long as Verge doesn't
She,
tell her no, she'll be fine
She
with it.
well, and she made that comment. He's from Louisiana. She did throw that in, but Woodward is who hired her. So there's always, Randy Davis and Skip Bertman brought you to LSU. There's always in your mind going to be something there. The guy who signed me at Southeastern, is always going to be something there for that person who gave the opportunity. And I get it. And Kim Mulkey's Kim Mulkey. I mean, there's no secrets with her. And, she sent a little message there, Kim Mulkey like, by sending Bob Starkey to the presser. But, she'll be fine. And she said time will help, and she's the timing of it. She's, consumed by her team and her schedule and the next opponent. So, that was her way of dealing with it, was not going to the presser the other night.
All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's.
Well, they're ordering turkeys now. Fried, smoked rotisserie, all the side dishes, the desserts. You can do it online, or you can stop by Tremonti's. Go to Tremonti's.com. Hit them up on Facebook. Hit them up on Instagram. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Yeah, you will be glad you did. Hey, don't forget to like and share this show. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, that helps everybody involved. Of course, Court Street Cafe in Port Allen's got a tremendous dinner special this week. Hit up Court Street Cafe in Port Allen on Facebook or Instagram. And don't forget our presenting sponsor, LaBerge Casino and Hotel Baton Rouge. And Sports Shorts Radio will be with you Saturday morning, 10 to 12, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles. Also, want you to like and share this show, as we mentioned. And we'll be back Friday morning with another episode of Sports Shorts Daily. Have a really nice Wednesday, everyone.